What's up, everyone? Long time no see. I am back with my pull in a king size annual, you might say. Couple weeks to catch up with, and we'll try to make this quick so you're not stuck here for too long. So let's go ahead and dive in and take a look at some of the books that I've pulled over the last couple of weeks. First off, we've got Dark Ages #4 from Tom Taylor. Great issue, still a really solid run, some good art and all that good stuff. What I didn't, I mean, it was just really hard following up with issue 3. Issue 3 was phenomenal. The Quicksilver scene was amazing. The art really kind of left off the page, and so that set a really high bar for me going into this issue, and it dipped a little bit. Again, it's still solid, still a great story, but compared to issue 3, I felt like it was a little bit of a letdown. So I will say though, this is kind of like an odd, like little thing, but I really like what they did with the barcode on this one. It's kind of cool how it almost looks like a Virgin cover, but the barcode is just kind of tucked away there. So I like that. We've got Darkhawk #5. Higgins wraps up his run on Darkhawk with this issue, and it's a great end, honestly. It's a really good wrap up to the series. Some more Miles banter, which he writes Miles honestly really well. I look forward to maybe seeing more of his work and bringing that character to life. But overall, great arc. Good story, pretty awesome splash pages, a couple really big features there for our titular hero, and overall, I really enjoyed the whole run. So Higgins did a great job with Darkhawk. If you're a fan of Darkhawk, pick up the trade, get the issues, good stuff. Chip Zdarsky is doing some really great work out there right now, including for Daredevil, Woman Without Fear. So Daredevil, Woman Without Fear was out last week as well, and I really liked this issue because he balanced out the sort of stoic assassin character with, a softer version of Elektra, right? And I think he just brought the character to life really well. I really enjoyed it. The art's spectacular. And again, Zdarsky's writing is just really good. I'm going to chat a little bit about his the Batman, the Night run, which he started this week. But yeah, good stuff. Really enjoying what he's doing with Elektra / Daredevil, the Woman Without Fear. Next up, we've got Hawkeye, issue 3. This is the little Kate Bishop sort of fun run that, again, I feel like is sort of piggybacking off of the lingering popularity of the Disney Plus series. And it continues to be a fun little romp. I don't feel like there's a lot of heavy hitting narrative necessarily going on here. There are some cool little peeks into Bishop's life and her sister, and just sort of the strained relationships there, and why they're strained, but not a ton of revelation or anything particularly heavy hitting. It's just a fun light read. So I can't fault it for that. It's good at the sort of popcorn popping entertainment that it is wanting to provide. So I like it. Good stuff. What's the furthest place from here? #3. This series still is weird. This is still a very odd, in a good way, series. It's I feel like it's having difficulty sort of grounding its central narrative. It tells its story in very brief sort of chapters, and sometimes trying to string all of those together and really understand some of the key motivations of the characters and where exactly we are and why exactly it's important. It can be a challenge, but I also kind of have to respect the attempt at building out this sort of very vast dystopian world and all the details within it. But anyways, I don't know if I'm going to keep following it. I'm going to give it probably one more issue. It's just really hard for me to dig into it. I might end up picking up, the trade or collected edition eventually to see how the story pans out. But issue by issue, it's sort of hard for me to feel like I'm getting invested in the story and really care where it goes. Which is too bad because it's good stuff. So Odinn's Eye. I actually picked up the first few issues not too long ago, and then I picked up issue 4, and I've got issue 5 en route. This is an amazing series. I think I already gushed about the first couple of issues, I think, on the previous poll. Um, Issue 4 continues to deliver. Some really great action in the series, and I just love the setting. I love Norse mythology, and the central character is really interesting. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think that it's probably. I know Bad Idea gets a lot of flack from a lot of comic collectors in terms of making it difficult to collect their books, and their distribution strategy, etc., isn't exactly super popular with folks. But when you can get your hands on their books, they're telling some pretty cool stories in these works, and I think Odinn's Eye is definitely near the top of the list in terms of stories that Bad Idea is telling, and art that's being contributed to it. The art is just absolutely phenomenal as well. So definitely check it out if you're interested in that sort of thing. Hopefully, if they do release a collected edition, it'll be easier to get your hands on than the individual issues, which you will likely have to pay more than cover for. I've seen a few listings on eBay, double cover or maybe more. So it just depends on how badly you really want it. But I'm telling you, it's worth paying a little bit over cover for, definitely. Um, all right. You all know I love Department of Truth. That's not a surprise. But you also need to learn something kind of odd about me, which is I hate moths and I hate butterflies. Don't ask me why. They creep me out. I can deal with spiders and I can deal with cockroaches or whatever, but moths and butterflies, they freak me out. Okay? So, this last week's issue of Department of Truth focuses on Mothman, of many things, which I didn't appreciate Tinian. And so I, got this cover as well, which was not promising for my distaste of moths in general. Anyways, all that being said, fantastic issue. I mean, Department of Truth is just a nonstop hit. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Bigfoot arc last year. I think I've shared that before. But this is just a great collection of stories. It effectively works as a sort of collection of sort of campfire stories, like horror stories that make your hair stand on end, and it does a really, really good job at that. Between not only the Mothman, but they also talk about, I think it was Indrid Cold, I forget exactly the name, but a few other things, kind of odd things that are going on within the department, and it's just really well executed. So I really enjoyed this week's issue of Department of Truth. Glad we picked it up. Okay, or last week's rather. Now we're on to this week. So we've got Arrowsmith behind enemy lines. So Arrowsmith, I'll be the first to admit I am completely ignorant of the Arrowsmith property. So I wasn't familiar with Arrowsmith as a series before, but I saw that Kurt Busiek wrote this, and the cover art looked awesome. It's like World War One meets fantasy. There's like a dragon on this soldier's shoulder. Which is pretty cool. And I was like, hey, that looks interesting. I'll pick it up. It's the first issue. And I enjoyed it. If you're not familiar with Arrowsmith, it is a sort of alternate history, fantasy and magic splashed with sort of trench warfare and broader global powers. And yeah, it's a really cool story. And now I'm interested in learning more about the stories that came before. And so if you pick it up and you haven't been in an Aerosmith world before, then you might be interested in doing similar digging. If you've enjoyed Aerosmith in the past, chances are you'll enjoy this too. So win-win. All right, we've got Nightwing 88 from Tom Taylor. Continues to be awesome. I will say it's hard, especially in this issue. It's really hard to be worried for Nightwing when he's got like the Titans at his back. Like he's got Starfire and he's got Raven and he's got, the Flash kind of on standby. And so when you see him versus, Blockbuster, like the Mayor and some of the other street level criminals and enemies, like, yeah, they're intimidating in their own way, and you're kind of wondering if he'll be okay, but at the same time, in the back of your mind, you're like, dude's got like second, Justice League second division, like on speed dial. So that makes it a little bit of like a detachment from that, actual concern for whether or not your hero is going to be successful in these campaigns. But again, it's a minor gripe. There's a really great splash page in here with the Titans. It's just really cool to see Grayson and everybody sort of rising to the occasion and trying to bring down the people that would keep Blue Haven from achieving its full potential, especially with the newly rediscovered riches of Dick Grayson and the good that he wants to do in Blue Haven with it. So, all in all, Taylor's continuing to do great work at DC, and this issue is no exception. Hulk, number 3 from Donny Cates and Ryan Ottley. It's getting good. It's getting really interesting. We're halfway through the 6-issue arc from Donny, and at the end of this issue, we get a pretty cool revelation in terms of, who's in charge and who's pulling some strings. We meet an alternate Bruce Banner, and it's just amazing. And honestly, it's so good to see Ryan Ottley doing art again, like in a major series like this. I recently picked up the Invincible first hardcover again, and just kind of reacquainting myself with that work and Ottley's art in it. He brings Hulk's violent nature to life in a way that hasn't been done in a while. Obviously, Ewing brought it to life in a more of from a horror angle and like a body horror angle. This one just sort of embraces wholeheartedly the violence. So if that's something that you're interested in and enjoy, chances are you're going to enjoy Otley's work on Hulk and Kate's story with it. So a few more issues left to go. I'd say pick them up, check them out, and if you miss this train, again, trade will be around the corner. Avengers 52. Fun issue here. We've got Starbrand, who is now kind of taking center stage in terms of, kind of growing from this literally a baby into a younger girl. And then near the closing pages of this issue evolves yet again, getting to kind of put her power on display and give the Masters of Evil, the multiversal Masters of Evil, a run for their money. And so, yeah, it's interesting to see some developments for probably one of the mightiest Avengers in this issue. So if you're a fan of the Starbrand character, or just like the property of Starbrand and seeing how that character has come to life in different Avengers stories in the past, chances are you'll enjoy this one. So, good stuff. We've got Death of Doctor Strange, Black Knight. This was fun, but ultimately detached from anything majorly important with Death of Doctor Strange. Like there were a couple of fun little revelations and little peeks behind the curtain, but overall, nothing earth-shattering, and it didn't, really directly tie to the event outside of, oh no, Strange is gone, and now this barrier came down, and now we're in trouble, which is the same narrative of all the other attached stories, with the exception, again, of the Avengers special, which I continue to maintain is the best Death of Doctor Strange tie-in that there has been so far, and I don't know if there are any other tie-ins coming out before the event ends. So it probably will retain that top spot. But anyways, you could probably pass on this, to be honest. For the Death of Doctor Strange event in general, I would say read the main event, read the Avengers tie-in, and maybe read the White Fox tie-in, because that one was good too. Probably the best one of the side stories so far, outside of Avengers. Okay, Zdarsky's work number 2, The Knight. This was good. I really enjoyed this. Like, if you were going to make me read another Batman origin story, oh my god. I'll read the one that Chip Zdarsky wrote. He's doing some really good stuff here. And honestly, the art from, I don't want to ruin the name, Di Gianmendencio. Giandomenico. Giandomenico? Di Giandomenico. I'm sorry I ruined that. If I ruined that, if you're listening, I apologize. Um, but the art is great. It's got a really rough sort of aesthetic for this narrative, which is basically a uh, disenchanted Bruce Wayne, who like a realistic Bruce Wayne, who's kind of working through the loss of his parents and doesn't just sort of flip a switch and be like, I'm going to be Gotham's protector, but like actually having to work through the trauma of it and um, that sort of thing. Alfred being the disappointed father figure on a couple occasions throughout this first issue. Um, yeah, great stuff. I see no reason not as to drop this series. This first issue was definitely a good introduction and a good kickoff. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of what Zdarsky does with the property. So, good stuff. Here's a little side story. The Vault's Rush. This issue was actually surprisingly good. I'm surprised the series honestly has as much staying power as it displayed in this issue. Um, and so, the central character is still clinging to hope that her son is alive, and kind of bouncing from, staying within this town, kind of working with some various shady characters to try and investigate what's going on. It's Western, it's supernatural, it's horror, and there's a certain Native American character introduced in this issue that has a sharp wit, sarcastic tongue, and is sure to make you grin, to be honest. It's just overall very well done, great balance of emotion and humor and solid art. Um, Not a whole lot of action just because the central character obviously isn't like a superhero or necessarily have a bunch of skills when it comes to fighting monsters or anything like that. She's just looking for her son. Um, but all that being said, there's some really good narrative pacing going on in this series, and some great characters to boot. And at the end of the day, what more can we ask for from a comic than a great story and good art? So Rush delivers on both of those fronts. Moon Knight number 7. Jed MacKay continues to deliver with Moon Knight in a really big way. I've been loving Moon Knight. In this issue, Mark is going around shaking down folks for more info on Zodiac and kind of not getting as much information as he hoped for, and or discovering that he may have bitten off more than he can chew with this enemy. So, really fantastic ending as well. Great cliffhanger ending. And, McKay's sort of balance of, Mark examining his motivations for being Moon Knight and trying to protect the people around him while also trying to be a good, devout servant of Khonshu, is great. It's a wonderful thing to behold, and I've been enjoying Moon Knight thoroughly. So if you also have been enjoying Moon Knight, this is more of the same and kind of takes it up even further. Eternals from Kieran Gillen also continues to be amazing. We've got a disillusioned narrator. We've got a narrative around love and loss, a ramping conflict with the Avengers. That's sort of inevitably building here. Thanos being crazy and just intimidating. It's just good. It's just good top to bottom. And again, I know if you picked up the early issues of Eternals, it might have been hard for you to like kind of sink your teeth into it. But certainly over the last 4 or 5 issues, Gillen's really sort of turned it around. And his ability to write Thanos and his ability to write the sort of broader cosmic struggles is amazing. It's really good. Really, really good. So definitely check out Eternals if you haven't been already. It's worth it. 2 more. Venom from Ram V, issue 4. So this week's issue of Venom, he's still kind of finding his footing, Ram is, in terms of telling the story. And it's really hard when you compare it to like Donny Cates' run, because by this time in Cates' run, we were getting to Null's origin. Like, big stuff was happening, huge stuff was happening, and it happened very, very quickly. There is a tease at the end of a new character. So, spec alert, you probably want to pick up this issue and or the next one. So there's a new character coming, but it doesn't have the same sort of gravity that Null did, to be sure. That being said, I do enjoy the angle of the symbiote trying to rationalize his connection with Dylan, and the connection that he has with him by extension through Eddie, and his long relationship with Eddie, long connection with Eddie. So I really do enjoy that angle. Actually, I enjoy it. I think more than I was expecting. I was hoping initially that we would see a lot more of like a parallel journey for father and son throughout the narrative, as Eddie got used to godhood and Dylan got used to being Venom. And while Eddie's sort of fallen out of the picture mostly, I think the symbiote's journey as a character is offering a sort of stand-in for that narrative that I was hoping for from Eddie. Not fully replicating it, but kind of close. So that is Venom issue 4. Still enjoying it. Not going to drop it. I thought I was. I really thought I was in issue 2. But issue 3 and issue 4 have offered some redemption. And so I'm sticking with it for now. And I'm still enjoying it. Last one. Silver Surfer Rebirth, number 1. We've got Ron Mars, Ron Lim back at it with Norrin Rad. I am a huge Silver Surfer fan. I believe I shared this before. And so I am very excited that this new series is here, and I loved it. The art definitely took me back. Norrin's dialogue definitely echoes some of those older stories. And just kind of took me back to the early days of the Silver Surfer, and setting up cosmic stakes near the end with a cameo from none other than Thanos, of course, and it's just fun. It's just really good cosmic fun. So if you're a Silver Surfer fan, you'll be glad to see these books on the stands, and I would encourage you to pick it up and see what you think. Spotlight in the background this week is essentially the Infinity arc. So Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, and Infinity Crusade. It's kind of hard to read on the black background there with the white lettering, but I just wanted to bring these out and talk about them briefly because, specifically with Infinity Gauntlet, George Perez obviously has communicated out some recent health struggles and is hosting a really awesome signing event with CGC. So if you missed that, I think they extended the timeline for it. So if you have any books that you'd like to get signed from the great George Perez, now's the time to do it. Of course, he penned the iconic cover here of the Infinity Gauntlet series, and has just offered, defining work in comics in a lot of different ways. And of course, the whole series as a whole is probably one of the, sets the bar for epic. It definitely defines the word epic in terms of its scope and its size of narrative, and just really delivers an excellent cosmic scale story. So if you have never checked out the Infinity Gauntlet narratives before, Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, Infinity Crusade, you can probably find most of them. They're probably going to be around cover price on eBay, etc. Or you can also discover them digitally wherever you legally find your digital comics. So just wanted to spotlight that today. Again, the pull videos are completely off the cuff. They're unscripted, and I try my best to do them every week, but again, I apologize. I have slacked a little bit the last couple of weeks. If you enjoy hearing my opinion on these books, then feel free to like and subscribe to our channel for the Geekly Grind. We will, again, be working on getting these out weekly, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll link a couple other videos for previous polls. And until next time, enjoy those comics. See you next time.